It is the start of the 2025-2026 championship this weekend, and I'm going to give it a go predicting the game week 1 fixtures. It's going to be bloody hard. I haven't done a prediction so far for the league this year because I'm struggling. There are so many teams that could easily end up in the playoffs, but also could end up relegated. There's not many teams that I would say are hard set top 2 or hard set in the bottom as well, bar maybe Sheffield Wednesday, who I hope things turn around very quickly for them. Otherwise, this is going to be a season cut short or a terribly painful one for them. Heartfelt feelings go out to the fans of Wednesday. Yes, there are some much stronger sides. Do I see the likes of Ipswich and Southampton struggling in the mid-table or down at the bottom of the table? Not really. But can I say that I can guarantee them both being in the top 2 spot and I'm just not sure which way around? Personally, no. I think Leicester will still be strong even after points deduction. I think Norwich have got a great chance to push a lot of people's buttons. Wrexham have made some good signings. Birmingham have made some incredible signings and already had a very, very strong squad down in League One. So it'll be an interesting season. But let's cut all that nonsense. Let's have a look just at this weekend, which starts off tomorrow with Birmingham taking on Ipswich at home. Now, I've had this down as a 2-2 for a while in my mind. I just feel like it's going to be one of those fun games. Ipswich coming down into the Championship, Birmingham coming up. Both of them very different fortunes last season, but keen to play good football. Birmingham, I say, they've made some incredible signings, whereas Ipswich have struggled to secure the signings that they wanted, have lost some of their key boys from the past couple of years. And also, we're not really 100% sure whether Amari is going to want to do a Johnny Rowe to Ipswich this season, refuse to play and be off on his way very soon. But we will see. And I think 2-2 is a good route to go. A fun game, but neither side really able to pip each other to the post. Charlton take on Watford. Charlton returning to the Championship after a while, with Watford now kind of languishing in second league football for a little while. For me, I think the boys down in London are going to be taking this one against Watford 2-1. I feel like they'll get life going very nicely in the Championship for themselves. Bit of a bounce from the victory last year, getting themselves promoted at the expense of Leyton Orient. And I think they might just have that bit too much for Watford. Coventry take on Hull. Now, Hull are one of those teams where I think they will struggle, but I'm not 100% why. It hasn't been an incredible transfer window, but they don't really seem to have those. They just seem to do the best out of these continuously changing circumstances. But I think Coventry obviously finished last season terribly well. They started it awfully and were able to turn it around ever since Lampard's come in, and they've had a decent summer, no massive losses, some decent little gains, and I think I can see them winning this one 3-0 comfortably to really get this season off to a proper start, picking up from where they left off last year. Southampton taking on New Boys Wrexham. Wrexham obviously, again like Birmingham, spent a bit of cash, already had a very good squad, and the Saints coming down from the Premier League after almost the record worst ever Premier League season. Derby fans were holding breath for a long time, hoping that bloody record could finally be off their neck. But unfortunately, it still stands. They did get 12 points right at the end. For me, I think Will Steele was a fantastic signing. I would have been very happy with either him or Liam Manning. So I'm a happy Norwich fan, but a very, very impressive signing, I think, for Southampton. He loves to play the style of football that they would love to play. I think he's fantastic with young talent, and I think he can really get the best out of Southampton. As long as it clicks quickly, then I see this one going quite comfortably for them. But Wrexham, you can't write them off. They've got a very stable base there now for the past few years. As I say, they've had a squad that is way too good for League 2 and League 1. Can they keep this momentum going? If they can do what some people think and get promoted this season, they'd be the only people to get 3 promotions in a row and go all the way from League 2 to the Premier League in 3 seasons. But I don't see them starting it off the dream season, their first ever season in the Championship, how they would like. I think they'll get beaten 3-1 here, to be honest. I think they might score early on, and then that Southampton press and being able to control the ball and get back on with playing from the back like they like to do will kick in, and we'll be able to see still ball take shape. So yeah, 3-1. Now we get into the 3 o'clock kickoffs for Saturday. So we start with the list of fixtures I've got in front of me, with Middlesbrough taking on Swansea. 2 teams that have now been in the Championship for a while, have bounced around from the bottom half to the top half. Middlesbrough making a few runs for the playoffs in recent seasons, but not really being able to get back to where they were a few years ago when they got promoted last. Neither team do I see them lighting the world alight or massively struggling, but I see them causing problems and having a shout throughout the season for further playoff success. Swansea, obviously losing their captain to ourselves, I think will be hit a little bit from last season. Doesn't seem to, again, have been a massively outrageous summer. And while they were fantastic at home last season, really struggled on the road. Borough, on the other hand, very, very strong at home and a pain in the arse away. Ask any Norwich fan. We struggled, as many people did, to break down what was maybe not one of the best squads, but a very, very good squad. Now, of course, they have got rid of Carrick and have brought in Mr. Edwards, former Luton manager. An interesting choice, because I don't think Carrick was doing a particularly bad job. Edwards, on the other hand, obviously struggled when Luton got into the Prem, struggled when they came down. I think the right choice to keep him there, having earned a fantastic out nowhere promotion, but he just couldn't rediscover that magic. Will he rediscover it in Middlesbrough? I don't know. I'm going for 1-1 with this one. I just think it's going to be two pretty strong teams locking horns and not really being able to break down a winner in this game. Norwich taking on Millwall. I'll be talking about this on the TikTok on Saturday before I go, doing my preview. For me, my prediction, 3-1. I think we've got a fantastic squad. I think Millwall are a fantastically perfect opening fixture, if I'm being honest. Liam Manning obviously has got good experience in the Championship and he's been able to put together a really good squad here with the support of the board. So I'm happy with where we're at going into this. This is one of those games where it's not where we're playing one of the relegated Prem teams or the likes of Birmingham or Wrexham, where there'd be an expectation to beat a former League One team, but they're a really good squad and you can't write them off. Instead, what we've got is a team that's tough, but struggles to beat us. A team that I would expect us to beat, 3-1, as I say, but we would take a lot of pride from a victory early on. That would really set the tone going forward. Equally, though, if we were to slip a couple points or somehow lose 1-0, I don't think everyone goes crazy about it. But I'm really confident. I'll be there at the game. I'm ready to watch Sargent get another goal and Diallo and Kvistergaard get hit their first goals. That's what I'm going for. And maybe that Ivanovic, who I think is lighting up Millwall fans and is already one of the favourites to be top scorer in the Championship this season. Maybe he grabs a consolation late on. By that point, not fussed. Oxford United taking on Portsmouth. Now, Oxford had a pretty decent season, I think, last season. Started fantastically, obviously beat us in the opening day and built up enough points to really kind of carry out when they started dropping off. Portsmouth as well, similar story. Maybe didn't start as lightning quick as Oxford, but consistently picked up points throughout. Both these promoted teams last season, now embedded into the Championship with their second season, will be looking to avoid second season syndrome, which does not only affect Premier League teams, I tell you that for a fact. For me, I think this is going to be Oxford again, 2-0. I think they'll comfortably kick off the season at home. Portsmouth maybe just needing to get up and running, but I think that Oxford will be just a bit too strong at home and there'll be plenty of balls into the car parks. So Portsmouth fans going to that one, make sure you park further to the back. QPR taking on Preston. QPR are a solid team, have been for a little while. Again, have become one of these stalwarts of the Championship. Same as Preston, really. But Preston are one of these ones where they just feel like they've always kind of been slipping down the table, while QPR are slowly building themselves to be this just continuous mid-table team, waiting for maybe an explosion of young talent to really start clicking together. For me, I feel it's going to be a 1-0 to QPR. I think it'll be a good start to the season for them, and not a terribly bad one for Preston. Stoke taking on Derby. Now, Derby with John Eustace. We know this man loves to get in the playoffs, and all we're waiting for is a club that doesn't get rid of him at the end, towards the end of a season. That he finally may be able to get himself into the Prem. Can he do the same with a Derby, though, that's struggled financially, struggled squad-wise, and struggled with Josh Sargent getting assists while offside? Stoke are always a hard team to battle. I mean, it's a very hard place to go to. Last season with Mr. Cannon there on loan, he was brilliant. But I'm not 100% sure what to make of them this year. Again, I haven't really seen anything that's amazed me in terms of the market. You'll have to correct me, Stoke City fans, if I've missed something clear and obvious to you guys. But I think Derby are going to be quite strong this season. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. A lot of people imagining that they're still going to be down the bottom. I think that Eustace effect, having some of his signings come in that he's always dealt with at other clubs, I just think it's going to click nicely for him again. And I think they'll kick off nicely with a 2-1 win here at Stoke. West Brom taking on Blackburn. West Brom always a strong team. Even when they're having a bad season like they supposedly did last season to go through a couple managers, they still finish in and around the top 10, always look like they're pretty much in and around the playoffs for most of the season, and they're a very impressive side. And going away to the team in East Birmingham, it's a hard place to go. Blackburn, they've had a very good season last season, I feel. A lot of people had them down in the mid-table. Obviously, again, the whole thing with Eustace, like we were just talking with Derby, a real shame. I think they would have made the playoffs and would have had a really good chance of not just making Wembley, but potentially winning the whole thing if they'd kept with him and if they'd kept the momentum. Can they kick back on this year, at least finishing last season reasonably well and having a pretty good pre-season? I'm not 100% sure. I think it's going to be a tough place to go, and I think because of that, they will lose 2-1 to West Brom, who will instead get their season off to a baggy bounce. Then we have the last game on Saturday, the 5:30. No one has to stay up until 7, don't worry. Sheffield United taking on Bristol City. Now, a lot of people laughed at me when I made my predictions last season that I had Sheffield United winning the championship. Now, if it wasn't for two teams who got a record 100-point pool, both of them, insane, they would have won the championship. So I'm just saying I wasn't that far off, all right? I wasn't that insane. I think they're a great team. Getting rid of Chris Wilder was an interesting choice, but they've still got a very strong, average across the board championship team. And I like teams that are like that. I feel Norwich are into that space where, yeah, you might not look at our squad and go, oh, other than Sargent, obviously, there's lots of names here that I would say are incredible championship players. But we've got such strength in depth now. Brilliant players across the board with a couple decent options behind. I still feel like Sheffield United have a strong squad. Bristol City, I think they're going to really, really lose Liam Manning this season and hit the effect of that. I think he dragged them about 5 to 6 point places higher than they should have finished if they were under any other manager. And that's why I'm hoping he does the same effect for us. For me, I think Sheffield United will start this one off strongly, looking to get their season off to the runner where they can get themselves back into the playoffs and make amends for last season. And I see them winning this one 2-0. So that leaves us one game, Sunday, and this is the hardest one to talk about, to be honest. Two clubs, both with a bit of a misfortune really going into the season. Leicester City taking on Sheffield Wednesday. Now, Leicester fans will say, well, what misfortune? We'll batter them. I'll get the prediction out of the way. I think Leicester will win this either 4 or 5-0, and I'm going to go 4-0, and I do not mean that offensively. We have to be realistic. Wednesday fans are going through an absolute ringer here. I'll touch lightly on Leicester's reason I say that they're sort of have a bit of a misery this summer, and that's obviously the points deduction. But when you compare it to what Wednesday are going through, it's horrid. Wednesday have got a team of about 14 players who only about 2 or 3 days ago have agreed to play the fixtures. These guys aren't even getting paid. And I know some people could look at it and go, they've been paid plenty throughout their career. You can't miss 3 months' worth of wages when you're working hard. Barry Bannon signed a new contract, but I think this is kind of just to try and show some solidarity with the club and with the fans because, well, he signed a contract that he's not going to see a penny of because they have no money. They're in a position where they might not even be able to have full capacity, not even close to 40% capacity to even try and get some revenue up because their North Stand is still condemned. The owner is refusing to sell the club and just letting it destroy itself. The real question here is going to be, how long does Sheffield Wednesday go where they maybe pick up a point or here? And I can't see them beating any team right now. And a draw would be an incredible feat. They've got an assistant manager who's obviously going to do his best now as a manager. And as I say, a squad of 14 players, while other teams can make 5 subs and completely run rings around them, they've got 2 options. And that's it. It's a terribly, terribly depressing situation to see. As a Norwich fan who's surrounded by Norwich fans who, let's say, hated the Delia time, well, I'd much rather go back to having Delia if I was Sheffield Wednesday fans right now than having what they have in their owner. Unfortunately, I'll go back to it because this is what this is about, predictions. Leicester to win 4-0, kick their season on. I just wish all the Sheffield Wednesday fans the best, and I do hope you get this sorted sooner rather than later and get a new owner in who can at least start building something ready for League One. Let me know what you think for this weekend. Let me know who you're supporting and whether you're going to the game. Are you excited for football to be back? I can't bloody wait, to be honest. I'm really looking forward to this season. Let me know what you think of my predictions, but most importantly, let me know what your predictions are. I'd love to have a chat with you in the comments. And if you enjoyed this content, have a little look through my channel, see what else I'm about. And if you like it all, drop me a sub. I will see you in the next one.